Hello, and welcome back to the Geek on My Sleeve channel. Today is, I lost my number, 78, Geek Out 78, over Bibliomancer, which is part of the Wolfman Warlock series, inside of the Completionist Chronicles by Dakota Krout and James Hunter, aka James A. Hunter, aka J.A. Hunter, aka Viridian Gate Online. Thank you.
Yeah.
Human monk cosplay. Not quite. I had surgery on my hand. I essentially, short version is I had two masses in my hand, and after prolonged use they would swell, and then I would get trigger finger where I couldn't bend my fingers or use my hand. I was getting like shooting pains through it, so I am now left-handed.
Yeah. Luckily, it doesn't impact his audiobook listening. So
This is true.
we're still able to geek out with you guys today. And yeah, you're doing something right when you've had so many geek outs. You can't just keep track of which geek out number we're on. And before I forget, since Peter made this great intro once upon a time.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. We remembered this time. Huzzah!
Welcome to the left-handers. So far, I'm pretty good left-handed. It's the one-handed things I get into trouble with. Because the hardest things I've had are like pulling my hair back, because it doesn't work as well with one hand, and like opening a bag of chips. And then I'm like, oh, I'll just get the scissors. Well, I have like 8 pairs of scissors, and most of them are right-hand oriented, so it just feels super wonky.
Yes. Now you know what it's like for all the lefties out there.
Well, I mean, most left-handed. I did find one pair. I have one pair of scissors that's uniform or like straight through it. It's not got the little swoosh.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm trying to remember. I think this was my first introduction to James Hunter.
We had this sitting there forever.
We did.
And this is my first time through it, or I've read it 5 times, but yeah, first instance.
Yes. And Dakota Krout's been up there forever for us, being one of our favorites. And now James A. Hunter is up there as one of our top LitRPG favorites. So to have 2 of them write a book, I'm disappointed that we just have the one.
So far. But I don't know what is going on with the world, but all of our authors started doing this, because we had Luke Chimilenko, who was doing our Ascend Online series, and then all of a sudden he's like, A Mark of Kings, and I can't think of the other one, but he started doing a bunch of collabs, and then James A. Hunter, who okay, yes, I've been living under a rock. I didn't know he was this good. He does his Viridian Gate series, and then he does a bunch of everybody's their own main character.
Yeah, I could see what you mean there. White Thatch says this book feels like it has 2 authors. Feel free to expand upon that.
Yeah, well,
did you catch the?
It did, but it didn't.
Did you catch the? Oh gosh,
Boner 69.
Yes, the Easter egg there from
from his
Rogue Dungeon. There we go.
Yeah.
When the main character is like, oh man, like, wouldn't it be awful to be stuck with Poner Boner? I forget the number afterwards.
69.
Yeah. And I'm like, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
That was
That's
totally
that.
inclusive in the other one.
Yeah. So like you've been itching for an author to kind of like link all of the different lit RPG verses together, and James Hunter does that with Viridian Gate. He's now found a way to kind of like
Well,
slyly
this
tie it
is
in. It's not
it
quite
was
the
more
same.
felt like Dakota Krout, but was in reference to James Hunter because
Hmm.
Dakota Krout we love with all his internal Easter eggs,
Yes,
but
please.
that
White Thatch
was
says
related.
it feels like it should have been a crossover.
Well,
I would have loved it to be a
there are a lot of
crossover.
moving parts.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, we got a couple people who just enjoy us so much that they're hanging out with us, even though they haven't read the book. You want to give a quick synopsis on Bibliomancer for those hanging out with us who haven't read it yet?
Mm,
Like we're
okay,
in the
so
grand
if
scheme of
I
thing, like 15
was
books deep on the overarching series, right? Maybe
to
not
give
15, 12.
a synopsis, it's it's done kind of weird. It more so pertains to like the main character is financially well off, but is just finishing out his college degree or his schooling, is is tempted to go back for a master's, but instead his family gives him a full immersion dive into a video game right when it comes out. The
Hmm.
irony is unreal, which is going to be a whole series, side note. But essentially, he goes into the video game and he gets caught up in going to a mages college. Throughout the mages college, it is essentially just like college, the hazing, oh man, he has a couple good quotes about
Ridiculous
how,
expenses,
or well, with the expenses, but I was
studying out
talking
with
more
fundamental
the frat.
classes. Yeah, the frat hazing. Yeah.
But yeah, so he gets roped into it, and what is so beautiful is towards the end, or well, I guess that's not synopsis material.
It's all
It's
good, dude.
yeah, yeah. So it's not a very good explanation there, but he kind of starts off as a generic mage, except for he's a wind mage, so he's got wind powers, and then eventually he yeah, breaks his chains and becomes chained to a book. Yeah,
I yeah,
I don't know.
that
I
was a good
tried to.
synopsis.
Okay.
I got a kick out of it because his stats, he ends up with like super low perception from the
That's
get-go,
where
right?
I really enjoy Dakota Krout and his stat system,
Hmm.
and how below 10 you're less than human or you're a child,
Yeah, ten's kind of like the average
or
human, right?
baseline for human, but
Hmm.
then or further in the other part of the series where you're superhuman.
Hmm. Hmm. And when he first comes to the world and, he has wind powers or whatever, he has the NPC that's like, oh, haha, sure, you're a mage because nobody's mages.
Yeah.
And we learned that from the main series that Joe, being a quote unquote cleric, actually a ritualist, is so rare. And Joe starts, I want to say it's like a month later in the game, so he's not able to get in there right away. Where Sam does get in there right away, so like he's truly one of the first um, players, not NPCs, that ends up in the Mages College, and it's super rare. So the NPC that he runs into in the beginning, it's like, oh, haha, sure you are, and like he goes and uses his wind blade to hit the sign, and the sign starts swaying or whatever. He's like, see, I'm a mage. She's like, okay, honey, like, sure, that wasn't just the wind. Whatever you say, dearie. And he's just like,
Yeah. But
um,
because Joe, through the main series, it
mhm.
deals with the reduced strength and reduced dexterity, and he gets a lot more of the mean stuff coming about because of it.
Hmm.
And yeah, that's very unique. And then through this one, we get to see a lot of the benefits and downsides to the lower perception. And at first, he's thinking, oh, well, I have poor eyesight. It sucks that it followed me into the game, when in reality, it
Yeah.
didn't. It's just his perception stats.
I'd hate to see what my actual perception stats are. Like, anybody finds a way that I can rank that up, please let me know. I've tried to get some real world buffs, but they said my cornea is too small or something like that. I don't know.
Or
Come on,
not enough
technology.
left.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Get with it. Um,
But yeah, so I really enjoyed the book. I man, so many things were done so well, and it's kind of hard not to encompass the rest of the Completionist Chronicles. I would say this could totally be a standalone first book of the series, and you'd be completely fine. The other one is further along, so I would say go ahead and read that.
yeah.
And I don't think we got a whole lot of Divine Dungeon quirks thrown in. There
Mm,
is
I mean, there's
room.
so real quick. Spoiler warnings ahead. If you guys are new to this song and dance on Bibliomancer, we're also going to include spoilers for the Completionist Chronicles series. So if you don't want those, they might slip out as we talk about it because
It's
I
hard
see a
not to. This is
couple.
what we love about the author
Yeah,
is
yeah,
the overlap.
yeah. I see a couple hardcore lit RPG fans live with us. Really want to get into analyzing it because there's just so much fun about this story. And I think out of all the classes we've come across so far, the Bibliomancer class is one of the coolest, period. Um, would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments in the chat below. Which one of the classes that we've come across so far in the series is your favorite? But the Bibliomancer, the more we learn about it, it just seems like an overall powerhouse. The downside is he has to prep a lot, right? Just like our boy Joe, the ritualist.
Well, and they, I wish I had the quote, but
We're slacking,
yeah.
slacking. Can't blame your left hand on
It
that one.
essentially it goes down to three. It's when Bill, our book, who we bind to, is expressing there are like three and they're all kind of the same. He's like, oh, there's ritualist, there's what the mage's college guy is, and then there's bibliomancer. And
Hmm.
he's like, oh yeah, you won't find any ritualists because the college guy wiped most of them out, and they'll disappear for a long amount of time, and then they'll pop up and have one ridiculous spell and then disappear again. Yeah.
Yeah. White Thatch said Bibliomancer is on the same level as the ritualist.
Yeah.
And I agree. And I really want to get into this a little bit deeper because I'm a sucker for kind of like
Magic
um
systems.
magic systems, lit RPG, but just like unique concepts or things that are kind of like different when it comes to storylines because we've all had the same tropes over and over and over again. But what I really enjoyed this last time I went through, it's like, yeah, we have the Bibliomancer, which is kind of like on the same level slash in opposition to the ritualist. And, we have Joe who sides with the humans. And of course, like you would think that we naturally are going to be like, oh, yeah, human faction. We're humans. Like, that's got to be the good guys, right? Like, they're the ones we're supposed to be rooting for. Yet, the more I think about it, Joe just has like all these evil characteristics, right? Like, just like the ritualist and like the
Or the
sacrifice and like the
controlling of
dark.
shadows and
Yeah, yeah, and like his like the defense thing where it's like slaps around and everything, and it's like just like
yeah,
all this stuff. The more you
retaliation
think
of
about it, like
shadows.
Joe just seems like the bad guy, but we like him so much, and as humans, we're supposed to be rooting for the humans. And then we have Sam and the Wolf Pack
Yeah,
who
dark charisma too.
betrays humanity, and yet like they're the more altruistic guys, right? Like about, the pack and loyalty and, um, I don't know, like I really feel like for the main series, we're getting set up where I think Sam's the good guy and Joe's the bad guy. I know we
Well,
can't really put people into
no,
boxes
well,
per se,
yes, but
but
no. If I took it the Brandon Sanderson way, the bad guys are only bad because they're not you and they have different opinions. But my favorite part about it was literally from the seed of the same conflict or the same problem, the Archmage being a total twat,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
how do we combat it? Well, I'm glad, sorry, sidestep. I'm glad we got to see what the do you want power hyperlink was, because that was bugging me from the first time through.
Yes.
And it was essentially, do you want to be a combatant or do you want to be a merchant, so to speak? So that
Mm-hmm.
was exciting. And then the irony of him not reading the terms and conditions. So it was like, oh, so close, but you didn't get it. And then, being able to defect or go to the other side, nullifying the accords.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
then the opposite of Joe going through and figuring stuff out.
Um, yeah. It was interesting. I wanted to see more of the college life or the mage's college life in the main series. So in that regards, like even though it was slow at times, it was nice to kind of get insight into the mage's college and see how that worked. Like it did drag a bit. I have a feeling this wasn't quite high enough on your action meter.
No,
Um,
but it was brutally honest because it was like, all right, and time for a training montage.
yeah.
Now, he didn't get as catchy of a montage as Joe did, where he's like, ritual creation montage. Yeah,
Hmm.
ritual creation montage.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Um,
he was brutally honest about it. And it was, yeah, yeah,
mhm.
it all worked out.
Bouncing all over the place. I think it was in the epilogue. What did you think about? We'll just again spoilers. Cal, the system, um, when he gave him like the luscious hair
Or,
thing
yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever. He's like,
that was
I'm
beautifully
totally
done. He's
not
like,
setting you up for a nemesis or whatever, right?
yep,
Or
yep.
I'm like, oh yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that was
We got
definitely
no
Dakota being
eyebrow.
like, "Hey, we're gonna tell you everything."
Yeah, we got Baldy McBaldface with no eyebrows, where anything goes on his head bursts in flames, and then Sam with his luscious locks. Maybe that's why I'm on Team Sam
Yeah,
and not Joe. Uh, but yeah, I'm like, oh yes, yes, and we've actually seen Sam and the Wolf Pack further
yeah,
along in the series because
yep.
with the Wolfman Chronicles, they're still they're at the point where Joe's not even in the game yet, right? Because Joe comes in like a month later, and like we're within like the first week of the game, and defecting and everything. Um, and then yeah, it was nice to kind of get to meet the other characters from that interaction because I'm trying to think. We really start to see them.
We only get to see one instance of them, and I think it's
Mm,
books 5 or 6.
no, I'm pretty sure it was earlier than that because it was
I'm not
right
sure.
after the Wolfmen get shattered, right?
No, it was a couple books after. I'm pretty sure it was Ruthless, where he's trying to upgrade his class, and he goes and he gets a tome from the
Mm,
underwater
you're
dwarven
probably right. You're probably
hierarchy
right.
thing.
Gosh,
And
like
then
they,
by the end of that, we're kicking Joe out, and then we get our new letter for our 6.
yes, yes. Um, Yeah.
But yeah, we got to see them in action, and they okay, they're hinted at in a few books. Okay.
Good for pointing that out, White
Yeah,
Thatch.
and that's where like this is my first time through this book.
We need to
So
go back through. We finally have our favorite Sunshine Pillow Mage worked into our TBR / Geek Outs, and I'm excited to get that backstory because I think it was White Thatch that pointed out it explains a lot more of the Completionist Chronicles for us.
yeah, or
And
changes elements.
mhm,
Plus through the Wolfman series or Wolfman Warlock, it hints or Bill. Bill is a Bravo who is used to be tight with our boy King Henry,
mhm,
who was the guy trying to reassemble stuff after the end of Divine Dungeon series or
mhm.
towards the end there, and we never got to see him, so he could totally have his own side story, Dakota, if we ever get
Uh,
there.
yes, please.
But he does well, and it's hard keeping that many things separate and adding in after the fact. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Gosh, it was just a lot of fun. Um, Sam had a couple firsts. It took me a minute to register that like Joe and his party were the first to stay out overnight
Well,
in the
yeah,
main
I
series,
almost
but
was like
he
doesn't fit, but it was a singular versus a group.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, that was something that like I had to pause and be like, wait a minute, didn't because it's you always find yourself looking for those inconsistencies, right, between
Yeah.
series and everything, especially when they add them. Um, but this book did a really good job. It was fun to see kind of like what life was like out the gate because we didn't get that through the main series with Joe. Sam literally was in there day one. Mom and dad surprised him by driving him to Space Y in his full immersion capsule. Um, yeah, he just going through the trials again. I'm trying to remember with Joe's, but I
Well,
remember they're pretty
Joe didn't
similar.
have nearly as many, and that's what another thing that I thought was beautiful was how they're tailored to each individual by literally sapping their memories. Because Joe is a paramedic, had to relive the trauma of
Hmm.
getting all those people resuscitated,
Hmm.
where Sam had to go through the
Hey,
trauma
you're killing
of the
it
high
today.
school bullies and whatnot.
As long as authors can keep their names to 3 letters, I think we're good. Anything more than that, and as Shirtaloon said, we're the two guys that met at a um, name forgetting name amnesia support group or whatever. So we need to have our cheat sheets, but 3 letters, we're good. We're good. Um,
Yeah, Cal, Bill, Sam, Joe.
yeah, I know he's a book, but I can't help but just think of Schoolhouse Rock when we start talking about Bill.
Oh,
Like the
eh,
face on a rolled up piece of paper right there. Um, yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Though, just because I've been in that mood and I've done it with every other one, I want to talk about the inconsistency or the downside to this cover.
Okay.
Beautiful cover, really portrays the guy. Bill's
Hmm.
off there floating from the chain. The hat. The hat. The quill in the hat is the sword. You can't have both. Just can't. That was the
Oh,
only inconsistency I could find. Other than that, beautiful cover. Absolutely love it. Um,
yeah,
yeah, that was the only thing I could find.
yeah. We should do a side by side later between Joe and Sam. Um, but yeah. Trying to think what else I was going to bring up.
So
Cal.
we got to see the Mages College. We
Mhm.
got to meet the party. My favorite character, which needs to be fleshed out more, would have to be, oh man, it's not a three-letter word. Um, it's the teacher, the infiltrator, the one who is actually a member of the Upright Men or whatever. Yep, yep. It's all good that you're late. Thank you for joining. And yes, Bibliomancer was amazing.
Yeah, I'm on Team Sam. I mean, I like Joe. Don't get me wrong, but I'm really rooting for Sam.
I think uh, Joe has
He's just
been
so much
go,
more
go,
likable.
go from the beginning, and I kept waiting for him to have more of his ritual creation montage where he actually made progress.
Hmm.
But all of that got more or less reset. And
Okay.
then there was a lot of things that I wanted to see happen, like after Joe takes out Headshot and then has some of his hair and blood. I was waiting for that epic ritual to totally mess him up, but then he kind of just swept it under the rug where he was like, "Oh, hey, you're in prison now, and this guy tried to shank you, but it didn't work at all. Okay, well, his life sucks. He's here." And it was cool that it got incorporated. We got to see more of it or a different side of it through Sam's
Hmm.
perspective. But yeah, I feel like it's okay. It's pretty Dakota Krout where it just moves so fast.
It's one of the things we like about the series and the lit RPG series or genre. Typically, a little bit more faster pace than some of the other genres. Uh, yeah, yeah.
We got to
Also,
see
got to.
the Obaba again.
I was about to say, like,
See,
oh,
that one
Baba.
I can remember because it's a sound, it's not a name.
aren't all name
Okay,
sounds?
yes, but it's the difference between onomatopoeia and a name, like meow.
Wait, is that a sound or a name or both?
Or it's both. It's a word that sounds as it sounds.
Too fun, too fun.
Anyway,
Um,
we got to meet the Obaba, which
mhm,
was another great thing. We
yeah.
now know that she was the head of the outpost, which I guess we kind of knew that anyway.
We also got to see how they got their hands on that ritual that we deal with. I want to say it's in book one, right? Because
Yeah.
Sam steals the ritual from
But
the
those were two separate things, I thought. The law, the blueprints for the law, also three letters.
uh,
Right?
uh,
Because the blueprint for the law was small spell at the beginning. As it transitions through, it gets bigger and then amplified. With the ritual, we stop is like waves of an unending horde stuff.
right. But in book one, the Wolfmen are doing something to try to target the human kingdom, right? And that's where
Okay, okay.
Joe
I guess it does
indirectly
have a bit
gets
of
it handed to
range.
him.
Yeah,
Hmm.
okay, okay.
So he stumbles in where the Wolfmen are sacrificing people to power the ritual. Um, so like they clearly modified it, and I wouldn't be surprised if, as the Wolfman series goes on, we learn that Sam had an integral part to that because part of his Bibliomancer class is he can kind of like take stuff and modify spells, right? Like Bill talks about how he can learn all these different spells, but he can only utilize 6 spells because Bill can only hold up to 6 different books in his soul space.
But
So
that's also Bill got knocked back to level one. I'm
this
sure
is
as he
true.
levels up, he'll
This
get
is true.
more.
We hope. But yeah, like part of being the bibliomancer is he'll be able to then like write and modify spells. So I wouldn't be surprised in book two is we get to see how he helps the Wolfman try to get this ritual set up. What we got? We got White Thatch. This book could also be used to spin off other related series because after the fall of the Mages College, Sam goes through the area with all the restricted magic. That's true.
Well, that's where the timeline, maybe I'm just misunderstanding, but Sam was there first. Sam defected to the other side, but the Wolfmen have other combatants or other aid inside the kingdom of Ardania. Ardania?
Hey, look at you, dude. You're just on
Ah,
fire today. We need to, send you to have surgery more often if it helps with you remembering names.
sure. I think it's
Not sure
because
how that works out.
I couldn't really get as distracted while listening to it.
There we go. There we go. I do know I watched an interview, maybe not an interview, a stream that Dakota Krout did for the last series being released. And I think until he finishes the main Completionist Chronicles series, he's going to slow down on the collabs,
I
which is unfortunate. So we're probably just going to see.
James Hunter does a really good job, but
Oh,
that's
he's a
essentially what
powerhouse.
he did. Where I think he's got 9 in his Viridian Gate online series, and then
Mm-hmm.
he started sprinkling in everybody's their own main character type deal.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's smart, but there's there's a lot of ways to tie it in. It's kind
Yeah.
of like um how the Divine Dungeon series and the Sunshine and Love Pillow Mage series are in the same timeline, but not.
Mm-hmm.
And then for this one, we'll have Joe and we'll have Sam in the Completionist Chronicles paralleled
Yeah.
on them
Yeah.
both.
Yes. Yes, please. Yes, please. We're finding a lot of fun lit RPG authors. The genre just seems to be blowing up. And for I don't even know if we can consider ourselves gamers anymore. We don't have time to play games, but as previous
I tried to
gamers,
play some games. I played it with my foot.
uh, stay tuned for that
Yep.
YouTube video
Rigged
as
up a foot mouse.
Peter teaches you how to play video games using a foot mouse.
Yeah,
Because
I kind of cheated.
why
I
not?
played pretty basic characters like Reinhardt and Overwatch, where
Uh,
I'm a giant shield, so
there you go.
or Mercy, where auto aim. So
Uh,
anyway, yeah,
until we get our full dive capsules where they could just sync up. I mean, I curious your thoughts and let us know in the comments below, guys. Like, do you think we'll see full immersion in our lifetime? I'm optimistic just looking at how far VR has come since we
or
started playing
Elon's
games,
working on it. That's why
20,
he
20,
gets a
30 years
big
ago.
shout out in every book
Yes. Yes.
because he's literally already made it to where a monkey has played. Oh, I think it was Valorant completely with just the head communication.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Running Aces says almost all LitRPG feels a lot like a cross between YA and classic fantasy novels.
Mm,
We're always struggling how to describe LitRPG to other people. I see where Running Aces is coming from there, but I also know a lot of LitRPG authors that definitely couldn't get the YA rating. Thinking of The Land
yeah, I
and
think the
God's
only
Eye there.
reason YA would be a factor is because you don't want to put the bar too high. So I'm really disappointed in Bibliomancer. They did not do the tomato stats progression.
That's
I'm a
such a
little
good
sad,
explanation.
but that's why I would think YA because you can't just say select words without explaining it to a
It's
degree. And then there are other books where they say HUD or they say HUD instead of HUD, and I'm just
Mhm.
like, come on now, what are you doing?
It's a fine line, because like one of the nice things about lit RPG genre is the learning curve's a little bit easier because so many people interested in it understand video games. But we tried to recommend lit RPG lit RPG books to non-gamers, and it's
Well,
hard if the author doesn't do a good job getting through that learning curve. Like I think it was we were talking about Rogue Dungeon did a really good job explaining it, and the main character wasn't from this realm, so he kind of need to get the through the learning curve so it can bring the author along. um Running Aces said YA because the plot and characters never feel that deep. It might be because of the fast pace of them you mentioned earlier. That aspect I agree
yeah,
with.
I think like so. If I
100%.
said the Land series, there are a lot of moving parts and a lot of additional elements, and they're like that one is building up for more of a epic fantasy. But if you're comparing it to Dakota Krout, yeah, he just kind of sprinkles cool stuff along, and then we're already on to the next step. So I could see that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. White Thatch said lit RPG is gamification of life, and that could be why Pete enjoys it so much because he's always quantifying and telling
I
me about how he's
yeah,
talking to
yeah.
people at work. He's like, "Yeah, I'm just here to get my daily quest chain done, so I can go home and grind out some skills in other areas, and
Well, that
level it up,
or
get my
yeah,
faction reputation for this gig."
that's all about experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Karen, the lit uh, RPG authors often just assume you come with a gaming background. That is a
Okay,
drawback with
okay.
most of them.
We
So,
did give you a book that and that's where there's a lit RPG out there for everybody. The one we gave you is yeah, a little more stats dump heavy. And that's
mhm,
another one. I guess if I said life reset, that one is very you kind of need to understand the mechanics in the first place. It does, yeah, and that one's a lot more in depth and deep dive.
mhm, yeah. Um, there's another video for you, Pete. That we keep talking about all
I
these videos you're
keep
going to do. You
meaning
need
to
to
do
you need
it. I
to
need
do a
to do
ranking
like
video of
a I'm super insensitive and you all fit in these neat boxes and just be like, if you are a middle-aged father, check
yeah,
out the
yeah.
Watcher's test. If you
Hey, who you
are
calling middle
a
aged?
hardcore gamer and you understand game mechanics, check out, this one, Life
Yeah,
Reset, and
yeah.
I need to just break them down.
Anyway, to bring it back on point, Bibliomancer, done by two of our favorite authors. We need more, please. Senpai Dakota Krout and James A. Hunter, get us more. I want to see more
Yeah, but if
about
he's not
Sam and the
coming
Wolf
back,
Pack. And like, I want to see more of the Wolfmen and their side of the war leading up to this. I'm really curious to see where
you
Sam
know what I want to
is in the
see.
final battle, um, against King Henry and his buddy. Oh, I forget his name. Tom's brother, who ends up getting um,
Yeah, yeah,
changed
that
to
name wasn't
the
even like a
the
word
monster that he
sound.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Not a three-letter name, so we can't remember it. Um,
You know what I want to see? So, Dakota, thank you for watching. Much love, long time. You have done agility, or sorry, dexterity, strength, and agility with Joe. And then you did perception with Sam. Spoilers for book 6 in your main series, when we find out that Joe is getting assistance from the Neanderthals and the cats, and you reference it back to when he's doing the chalk drawings, and those are actually the Neanderthals that are able to go through different dimensions, so to speak, and different planes of existence because they're not playing by those rules. We need a strength based, lower on all the other stats warrior who goes into berserker style, hits up our boy Tom, and
Pretty.
then connects with the Neanderthals because he thinks everybody's speaking baby talk to him. Hits up Tom, connects with the cats. You're welcome. Anyway, yes.
You want to go there?
Or well, yeah. So Full Murder Hobo is another Dakota Krout one, which is amazing. And there was only one big tie-in with that where
I don't know about I don't know about only one, but there is one major tie-in that the system that they use is, I forget the exact name, but it's basically the Cal system, right?
Yeah.
For quantifying everything and measure everything. I was
going to where the Archmage says, "Don't be a reductionist." And that's our main boy Joe, who is a reductionist.
Yes, I can appreciate the nods that authors give to not only their own but to other series. Yeah. I was just talking, doing another stream, doing a read along for the Lost Fleet series with two of our buddies, Ramsey from Rajathon and Joe from Unity 151, and Jack Campbell does a nod, breaks the fourth wall on his own stuff, because for that series, I want to say we're like 8 books in out of the 11 of the 2 series in the main one. And we kept complaining about how the cover, it's all space combat. There's like no Marines, right? And yet all the covers are like Marine combat. And it's like, what? And in the book, the main character does a nod to how all the covers are Marines. But yeah. Hey, Carlos, good to see you, buddy.
Well,
I'll read that one. White Thatch, what is all these full dive world, or what if all these full dive worlds are on the same server and based on personality, they divide people into the worlds they matter.
Yeah.
So
the first part of that, what if all these full dive worlds
on the Cal system
are on the same server? I would say, if you've watched Sword Art Online, essentially after the main guy traps everybody in there, he's like, "Congratulations, and here's a seed. Go build your own world." So they're all connected.
We are all connected. We're really living in a simulation. This is our LitRPG life, and thank you for geeking out with us today, instead of grinding up and ranking up your other skills and attributes.
Reset, Viridian Gate, Completionist Chronicles.
All those being on the same, that would be pretty cool. We need to get further on Viridian Gate. I know you're ahead of me. I think we have book 3 coming up in the near future. But yes, and then we're still waiting for the last Life Reset to come out on Audible. It's out on Kindle, but we don't got time for that noise. And that's from our boys, Sound Booth Theater, right?
Yeah.
So
Sound Booth Theater. Got Does it?
Yeah.
Just because you're asking, next week is Watcher's Fate. It's book 3 in Life in Exile series by Sean Oswald. It is a very good series. I'm enjoying it. It takes a different approach where it is instead of one person coming through who is a hardcore gamer who loves all the yumminess, it is a family who gets portaled through to a different world. Very fantasy oriented esque, where it's like medieval times kind of, but with lit RPG aspects. And you've got the different generic races like human and elf and dwarf and trolls, and yeah, it's a great series. I would recommend it to newcomers to the lit RPG space, as well as it's very dad joke oriented. So that's kind of where I say the middle age family
Yeah, the
oriented
main character is a
people.
middle-aged. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it brings a whole family, and it does a very good job. Okay, book 2 has a little hiccup, which you have to get through, where it's a little disjointed, but it essentially tries to take everybody as the main character, and you follow them as a family together, but you also get little snippets or insights while they're separated due to,
Mm-hmm.
physical space, and then you get their own individual storylines. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's very well written. um, 2 is a little disjointed, but yeah, if you get through that, you're golden.
Carlos asks, "What is your guys' favorite author slash series in these types of book, progressive lit RPG, etc.?" And that is tough.
Yeah, it
eh,
depends on. They all have their own strengths.
yeah.
Um, One book that or well, okay, tag.
Go ahead and say
I'll
it. You might get the lit RPG
So
guys
if
in up in
you
arms,
need
but
a long-winded, more so epic fantasy, solo oriented, but ends up building a village, I would have to say The Land is phenomenal. It involves a lot of different elements. It
it
is
is mature.
very driven. He does seem a little bit over the top in his power schema, but it's more has the potential to be over the top than is actually overpowered. Um, if you said a easy entry level book, family oriented, I would say Watcher's Test. If you said changing up the pace, I'm tired of being a human, being on the good guy's side, it's stats dump, everything, I would say Life Reset. And yeah, there, if you said apocalypse, end of the world, human emotional turmoil and struggle, I would say Viridian Gate. If you said, what if lit RPG wasn't locked to our realm and was more fantasy entering into our world through lit RPGs, I would say Rogue Dungeon. Um,
We need to do a video where you just describe the plot or whatever and take turns trying to guess it, because I was pretty on point there with each one of those.
yeah,
Um,
there's a lot, and there's so many we haven't done. Um,
Dakota Krout
oh,
was one of my first lit RPG authors that kind of helped me break in to the series along with The Land. I like The Land a lot. Not quite my favorite, though. I do appreciate it. But Dakota Krout is definitely up there for me. And it's probably just because of um, he's got so many books, right? And the world building across them. Um,
I
uh,
don't know that first one, Kong the Grandfather.
no, Alaron Kong.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
yeah,
He
yeah,
quotes
yeah.
to be the grandfather, and that, yeah, like as far as like I coined the word lit RPG, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. But let's be honest, it's Japanese or Chinese in origin for a sekai, or that's not even
So
it. There's other ones.
some people just say it's a portal fantasy book, right, with video game mechanics, which is not always true. Um, yeah, the land,
The land was the first one,
yeah, yeah,
or
it's
only have read the first one. Oh man. Now, okay,
hmm
so
yeah,
the land does a lot of things great for me, and I'm sorry, Dakota, we love you too, but the land, I enjoy how it gets like deep philosophical, like ingrained, like we're
some of your
going through
favorite
these real
quotes
life
come from the land,
struggles,
right?
and then he gets notified by the world, hey, you've come from the lowest low, envisioned even lower, and then got back up from it, and the world's going to reward you. And now we're all empowered and we're righteous. And then it turns out we're naked running through the forest, and we get the comic relief and we get the camaraderie. So he just does, it's well balanced, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. One we didn't name, while we're talking about favorites worth checking out, Dungeon Lord is definitely
Oh,
up there for me. It feels more dark fantasy. So for people who are looking to try to like bridge the gap into lit RPG, it's a really good one by Hugo Huesca. Um, and I'm ready for book 5.
yeah.
But
Yeah. If you want intricate plot lines, the rereadability of Dungeon Lord is phenomenal. Uh,
don't
my
forget to send our boy Luke.
biggest thing that Dungeon Lord does well is in the beginning, as the transition happens, there is a quote that I do not have, and I am sorry, that goes like
Swagger.
the Faustian Gambit, where it is essentially a doctor who feels as if they've seen everything and they will make a deal with the devil to get power. And because they've seen everything, they won't be corrupted by it. And then, our main guy asks, well, how does it end? And he pretty much, writes it off like it ends for whoever the story should end by. Is it a tale of redemption, and does he forsake the power and then become righteous again? Is it a tale of caution, and then he thinks he knows everything, but it doesn't quite work out? And, by the title Dungeon Lord, he thinks he's a good guy, but then he gets put in a Dungeon Lord mantle, and it really sticks to the main theme and does an amazing job portraying it. Um, I don't think we've read Arcane Ascension.
Yeah, we're always looking for good book suggestion guys. So keep tossing them our way. Definitely go ahead and jot that down, Carlos, and add it to our wish list on Audible. We are trying to um, up our game a little bit, and here later in the month, we're going to try and do
I was gonna say
twice a
you got
week.
one more week of only one, and then we're gonna try to cram more books into it. So you have until Sunday to read all 3 books of the Watcher's Test, Life in Exile series. And then we're going to start bringing them pretty hard and fast. We're going to do a Wednesday, 7 p.m., because everybody apparently works a 9 to 5. So, time to come home, have dinner, spend some time with the family, and then still catch us at 7. And then Sunday,
Pull
we're
us up
doing
on
a
your
5
SmartCast
p.m.
TV. Share us with the fam.
Yeah.
Sorry, go
And
ahead.
then Sunday, 5 p.m., we're doing the other live stream because Sunday's convenient, easy, Game of
Yes.
Thrones isn't competing with us anymore, so we have a chance.
I'm pretty sure we were competing with them, but I like how you put that. They're competing with us. The Northmen have nothing on this beard. Okay. You don't have to go beyond the wall to get epic fantasy lit RPG goodness with two gorgeous hairy guys. You could just tune in to Geek on My Sleeve, every Sunday and soon to be Wednesdays. Though if you guys got better times, we want to geek out with you.
The Wednesday is kind
Let
of a
us
float
know.
position. We
Let
got a
us
couple
know.
planned out.
So
anyway,
bringing it back because we're kind of hitting that hour marker that we try to stick to. Want to do Bibliomancer justice? Give me your thoughts, guys. Thank you, Running Aces. You guys are way better than the last season of Game of Thrones. Thank you.
Yeah,
that might be one of the nicest things anybody has ever said to us.
Line of thought.
No. Focus.
No?
Stay on target.
No? Focus.
Stay on target.
Okay. Focus.
Bibliomancer.
Bibliomancer. Amazing. Sam is on the Wolfman side. Actually turns out to be the good guy. You heard it here first. Tune in next time. See what happens. I wish he was going to do more of the series. As Carl was saying, it seems like he's going to finish out the main series first, and that's fine by me because he did that with the Divine Dungeon series, and then I'm sorry, I can't remember the Sunshine and Love Pillow Mage series name because it's not 3 letters. But yeah, I will say I wasn't super thrilled with the ending. It was good. I definitely got the Dakota Krout vibe where he was laying out, oh, you've got this luscious hair and I'm going to give somebody the baldy title and, I'm setting him up as your nemesis. So I enjoyed the chuckles of them becoming the nemesis and Dakota Krout being Dakota Krout, but it wasn't quite as satisfying. It kind of felt like Rogue One from the Star Wars franchise where like, yeah, we got the plans, but we all died. So what anyway. Where like, yeah, we stopped it. We got the plans, but it felt more like another beginning.
Journey before destination, Radiant.
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh. Oh, sorry. You were wrapping up.
No, go ahead. Go down the rabbit hole. Is this the comment? White Thatch?
Yeah. I would love to see all these authors do crossovers, then write a series together where all the same simulations and other worlds we create to
be mundane.
Relief to overlords, AIs. So, yes, and people have been doing it for a while. It's not a new thing. It could be done better. The space is very, I guess, competitor friendly because before, in a land before time, just watch that. Your son is a huge fan. It used to be like, this is mine, this is my money, I have my producers, all me. But now it's like, hey, if you create good stuff, anyone can become an author. So, yes. But on that AI note, Life Reset does a phenomenal AI snippet.
All hail our green overlord. No, wait. All hail Shiva. Yeah. Hey, that's not 3 letters. All hail Shiva.
Yeah.
I'm ready for the time dilation. Like after they kick everybody out in that book. Oh, sorry. No spoilers on Life Reset.
Yeah.
Go watch our other videos on those guys. We need to get those playlists together.
That was one of like our first ones.
It was. Oh man, good times. Good times.
I'm still disappointed we haven't gone through the land series, but that's okay.
We'll make it. We'll make it. Maybe if we get enough of these kids to hang out with us during the week, we can try to do three a week. We gotta. Oh man, gosh, White Thatch. We just need to sit down and
Shiva and
geek out.
Cal interacting.
That would be an interesting
okay,
dialogue
okay.
right there.
Continuing on with Divine Dungeon, or not Divine Dungeon, Completionist Chronicles. So, at the end, I'm sorry, Divine Dungeon, we end up communicating with our bonsai tree, because I can't remember the name of it, to another dungeon who has the Will of the Wisp super lore, and we got him into our soul space. But we know, much like the master, he was too powerful. So he couldn't fit. So he comes through our hardline plug-in of our tree, and now where is he?
Wi-Fi is overrated. Cables all day.
Yeah.
As long as you do cable management.
Eternium, Dungeon Eternium.
Yes.
And that's the name of the game, Dungeon Eternium, and that was the end of it. Cal's like, am I now Dungeon Eternium? And yes, that is where we are. But I feel like there are a couple. Oh, okay, thank you. Enough said.
Yes.
So Sunshine and Love Mage fills it in and covers it.
Pillow, Sunshine and Love.
Yep.
Yeah. Such a fun book. I can't wait to see how Bibliomancer
what's up with all those eyeballs.
Ranks up. Well,
sorry,
Peter,
in Rexus,
you're just going to have to make time to listen to these books. Where are our spoiler-free reviews of all these other books? Peter, we need more content.
We do.
Stop slacking.
All right, fine. I've been making content for other stuff, but I may go.
I don't know, guys. All I'm hearing is excuses. You guys hearing excuses? I'm hearing excuses. So anyway, we appreciate all you geeks taking time out of your Sundays to chill with us. Expect more great things. Keep throwing the book suggestions our way. I think it's a rancher TV show. And then yes, Carlos, like BattleTech. I am a huge MechWarrior fanboy. Yes. I think I have a couple on my yep.
I keep complaining that I only have one hand, and the sad truth is I may have been left-handed all along. Anyway.
Yeah.
Why, thank you for joining in the Discord. That is another thing we will not talk about. Just kidding.
We're getting better.
I need to get better about responding, and there, more things in there.
Right there with you, Carlos. BattleTech got me into giant stomping robots. When everybody asked me, what do you want to be when you grow up? My answer is still a MechWarrior pilot, like through and through. Sorry about you. Tech, get on our level.
Oh,
I'm ready.
Sorry, that was a different series I was thinking of. I was like, didn't we have one of those? But that's not this guy. Yes, that is this guy. Speaking of which, though, that's spoilers. Did we cover that book yet?
Which book?
6 in Completionist Chronicles.
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
We did. Anyhow, so we set it up.
Is a rancher family code empire. Where do you think Carl Peter building from family? Get world building from family.
Build a dynasty.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Potential.
So sticking with our song and dance routine, we already plugged it. Plug it again, Pete.
Yeah.
Hiya.
All right. So this is Watcher's Fate, which is in the Life in Exile series. This is book 3 by Sean Oswald. And I would highly recommend this if you do not have a big background in video games. It is pretty good through the explanations. If you are into dad jokes, because the main character is a 30-something-year-old dad who has 3 kids, it is very uniquely awesome in the fact that it brings the whole family through to it's basically a fantasy world, but is lit RPG, does involve stats, and yeah, it's really good.
It's a lot of fun. And who doesn't enjoy dad jokes? The magic system's pretty epic. The class system is a lot of fun in this series. Really appreciate how they do it. And yeah. Enough said. Keep tossing those book suggestions our ways, guys. We will do our best to work them in. Doing what we can to make sure we up our live book discussion sessions the second half of this year. And as always, we appreciate
People
your
stopping
support.
by. We need
Yeah,
to work on getting people into here because White Thatch has been recommending books and stopping by left and right.
yeah,
We
yeah,
can do picture, we can do voice only, we can leave you in
yeah,
the chat to buffer that.
yeah. As always, hit us up on social or on Discord if you guys would be interested in joining on mic. Would love to have you guys. And yeah, until
Hope
next time.
to geek out with you Sunday. Bye.